Premium quality football shirts at an extremely affordable price. Sound good? If so, check out the sponsor of today's video, jerseyfifa.com. You can see that I've sent you some shirts and they really are top quality, so make sure to click the link in the description to go find a shirt for yourself or perhaps as a gift for someone else. And you can now use code jerseyfifa at checkout for 10% off your order. That's code jerseyfifa at checkout for 10% off your order. I really do recommend their product, so go take a look. Now let's get into the analysis. So I think it's fair to say that Ligt is widely regarded as one of the best centre backs around, and certainly one of the best young centre backs in world football. And for several years now it has seemed like he is destined to make it to the very top of the game. Now when we think about the very top of football, two clubs with brilliant pedigree are Chelsea and Bayern, and these are actually the two clubs that have been linked with Ligt this summer. So as you may have guessed, that is what we are going to be discussing today. Now before I look at which club may suit him more, I first want to go through some of his strengths and weaknesses as a player, and then after that I'll discuss how he would fit in at either Chelsea or Bayern if he makes the move later this summer. So when you watch Ligt, one of the first things that becomes apparent is his ability on the ball, and in particular he's very good at receiving the pass from the keeper before then looking to turn and help his team play their way through the press. Obviously, to be able to do this, Ligt needs to be a decent passer, and he certainly is, and that really is not surprising at all, considering he spent a few years playing under Ten Hag at Ajax, and he is certainly more than competent with the ball. Ligt is also decent with his longer passing as well. Now this is an area that still needs work if he wants to really class it as a strength, however again he is more than capable of picking the ball up before switching the play with a long pass. Whilst Ligt is reasonably impressive with both his short and longer passing, I wouldn't necessarily class him as the typical modern day centre back that really wants to progress the ball through the lines. His passing is good but not quite progressive. Now Ligt is still just 22 years old, so he has more than enough time to develop as a player, and I also think that playing in a team with a better tactical setup like Chelsea or Bayern would immediately make him better on the ball. Now whilst there are parts of Ligt's game that would immediately improve with a new team, there are certainly things that come down to him, and one major weakness that he needs to work on is his concentration in a 90-minute match. So that's a couple of his strengths or weaknesses, but now I want to look at more of his defensive style, and unfortunately he is a defender that is rather lacking in pace, meaning that he isn't exactly a defender to cover behind his teammates. Instead, Ligt prefers to defend much more on the front foot, getting as close to his opponent as possible. Now at times that is a positive because it gives the forward no time or space on the ball, but also at times he can be spun too easily. Whilst that front foot defending can be regarded as a strength or a weakness, one thing that you can't really question is Ligt's ability in the air. He has brilliant natural height and a great spring in his jump, allowing him to win most duels. Overall, I think it's quite clear that there are elements of Ligt's game that need a lot of work, because he is far from the complete defender at this moment in time. However, what is also clear is that Ligt has bags and bags of potential. Now for Ligt to make these improvements, he first has to improve his concentration. No matter how good you are as a defender, if you aren't switched on for 90 minutes, then forwards will punish you in a split second at this sort of level. Now whilst Ligt has these areas to work on, he is still a player that a lot of clubs are interested in, and rightly so. So the first thing we're going to do is look at how he would fit in at Bayern next season if he makes the move to the club this summer. Now if Ligt was to sign for Bayern, then I think he would most likely be in direct competition with Upamecano. The French centre-back hasn't hit the heights that were expected when he joined the Bavarian club, so Ligt would certainly fancy his chances. If this was the case, then Ligt would most likely line up alongside Hernandez at centre-back, and one thing this would guarantee is quality on the ball, with both players happy to take the ball under pressure before then moving the ball forward. Now my main concern with this duo would be their defensive styles, because both players like to defend on the front foot, and at times that sort of pairing can leave space in behind. However, to be fair, Hernandez could have the recovery pace. Whilst there may be concerns in behind the defence, there would be no doubt about this duo's ability in the air, because the pair of them have a great leap, and personally I would back them to dominate most centre forwards in the aerial duels. Both players would also bring good 1 versus 1 ability as well, with both players more than capable when they get dragged into these isolated positions. So again, I do think that this duo would look quite good from a defensive point of view. This sort of front foot defending and 1 versus 1 ability would be perfectly suited to Nagelsmann's dominant Bayern side, and if we're being honest, especially in the Bundesliga, there would be games when more of the focus is what they do on the ball. In these games with the signing of Mazraoui as well, I could see Bayern looking to build in a back 3 in some games, something that they've done at times last season, and it could certainly work with Hernandez and Mazraoui either side of the Ligt. Personally, I think this system would be the best way to get the best out of all three defenders on the ball. However, my one concern would just be that none of them really want to cover as a cover defender that sweeps up behind the defence. Now, to be fair, it isn't necessarily essential that a team has one of these cover defenders, and I'm sure that a manager like Nagelsmann is more than capable of adapting a system, so overall I think it's a signing that could work quite nicely. At the moment it seems as though the other option is for De Ligt to join Chelsea this summer, and again under Tuchel, De Ligt would have the chance to work with a top manager, who would really be able to get the best out of his top potential. Now, first things first, I think it's fair to assume that Tuchel will be looking to use a back three again next season, because it's the shape he has used ever since he came into the club, and De Ligt also has experience of playing in a back three. Whereabouts De Ligt would play in this trio I'm not too sure, although it would probably suit him the most if he played as one of the outside centre backs, where he can really play as an aggressor, looking to get into the face of the opposition nice and high up the pitch. Playing in this way would allow De Ligt to play to his strength of getting nice and tight to a centre forward, because it seems to be in these more physical battles that he really seems to thrive, so playing on the right could potentially suit this the most. The reason this back three would suit De Ligt is because he would have the extra centre back behind him to cover, and typically in these sorts of setups it would be the central defender that is looking to act as the sweeper in behind the other centre backs. At Chelsea during the last few seasons, the man playing as the most central defender has been Thiago Silva, and I have to admit that I would be a little bit concerned about a back three with Silva and De Ligt, because there isn't much speed there. Now, of course, Chelsea are still active in the transfer window, so they could bring another centre back in for a little bit of mobility, and at the moment it does look as though they will complete the signing of Aki from City, so perhaps that could make up for it. Whether or not Chelsea are able to find the ideal partner for De Ligt remains to be seen, but regardless of that, De Ligt would certainly bring the quality on the ball that Tuchel would be looking for, helping Chelsea to play their way through the press. Now, whilst De Ligt has the passing ability that Tuchel demands, I'm not sure that he has the ball carrying ability. If you cast your mind back to last season, we regularly saw Rudiger stepping forward with the ball, but I'm not sure that De Ligt really offers that. Whilst De Ligt may not be able to carry the ball, he is more than capable with his long passing, and this could be perfectly suited to take advantage of Chelsea's wide wing-back system, with De Ligt regularly switching the ball from wing-back to wing-back. Something else that De Ligt would bring is brilliant aerial ability, and this is perfectly suited to the current Chelsea team, because they were a massive threat from set pieces last season, so De Ligt could come in and grab himself several goals during the campaign. Again, for these reasons I do think that this would be a good signing. However, as with Bayern, I do think it would be important to get the right partner alongside De Ligt, but either team can do that, then they could have a real top player on their hand. Whilst the quality is there for all to see, I do still have my reservations about De Ligt at the moment, and something I haven't even mentioned yet is his tendency to handball, and again that is something that he really needs to eradicate from his game. Again, that perhaps comes down to concentration, and I'm not too sure how much a manager can really help with that. It probably more comes down to De Ligt himself to address that issue to make sure that he is constantly alert and aware. If De Ligt is able to do this, then he has everything there to become a real elite centre back. The potential has been there since day one, but in a World Cup year it does feel like this season could be a really big year for him to take that next step. The question now is, what is his best move this summer? He could of course stay at Juventus, but at the moment that seems a little bit unlikely, and honestly I genuinely think that Chelsea and Bayern are both pretty even in terms of suitability. The situation may actually come down to whoever can actually afford the transfer, because this would not be a cheap move, and both teams are looking to complete other transfers, so De Ligt may not get a choice, it may just be who can afford him. Either way, make sure to let me know what you think. Do you think De Ligt should make the move to Chelsea to play Premier League football under Tuchel, or do you think he should make the move to Bayern where he has almost guaranteed trophies under Nagelsmann? Make sure to let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.